On the news tonight, Ondo House of Assembly applauds performance of contributory health insurance scheme. Rise in cult-related activities raises concerns as Ondo residents task relevant bodies on end. Plateau governor questions role of politicians in escalating crisis. And from the foreign scene, Peru declares state of emergency over criminal activities. Good evening and a warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us on the news at 7. I am Obi Chukwemeka Puti. Ondo House of Assembly has applauded the State Contributory Health Commission for raising the bar of healthcare delivery in Ondo State. Members of the House Committee on Health during a visit to the Commission noted its strategic role in the provision of qualitative and affordable healthcare for residents of the state. House of Assembly correspondent Omoshiliola Adesoye reports.
The important role of the Ondo State Contributory Health Insurance Commission in the delivery of an efficient health system to the people of Ondo State brought about this visit by members of House Committee on Health led by the chairman, Dr. Christopher Ogunlano, to the commission. The chairman of the committee, Dr. Christopher Ogunlano, said the commission is working in tandem with the vision of Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu for the health sector.
We all know that health is wealth, and this is my field. We know what medical services, what the cost of medical services now. And for somebody to be providing it pro bono is not a small job. I know the essence of this commission is to provide qualitative health services to our people, and it involves funding. And I can assure you, with this committee member, we support you 100%.
Other members of the committee asked that all hands must be on deck for the success of the health insurance scheme to achieve universal health coverage. The Director General, Ondo State Contributory Health Insurance Commission, Dr. Abiodun Oyeneyin, informed the lawmakers of the innovative steps taken by the Commission to boost healthcare delivery. He announced that plans are underway to include pensioners and those in the informal sector into the scheme.
Last week we did a mop-up for those that missed the enrollment. We know that the new members are also not yet enrolled, so the old ones are gone. As long as you take salary from the AG, then it will be deducted from source. But when you leave government, then if the deduction stops, then the health insurance stops. We are putting up a program now for retirees so that when you retire, it can be automatic. We've had meetings with the retirees and they are very much interested. That one is still in the pipeline. But the overall of them in the informal sector, 90% of people don't even work for government. So we already have the Sunshine Health Insurance Scheme that is designed. People have been calling us artisan group in Yaloja that they are interested, but we are taking it one step at a time.
The Ondo State Contributory Health Commission was established by the state government to ensure access to quality healthcare services for all residents of Ondo State, irrespective of their socio-economic status and geographical location, in an effort to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 3 in the year 2030. Omoshiliola Adesoye, Osrc News.
Nigerians have commended President Bola Tinubu for actively involving the youth in the affairs of the country. The commendation follows the recent approval of the nomination of an Ondo State youth leader, Ayodejo Olawande, as Minister of State for Youths. Those who spoke with our reporter Joy Pius in Accra said inclusiveness of youths in governance is crucial to building stable and peaceful society and developing policies that respond to the specific needs of younger generations.
According to the United Nations, Nigeria is regarded as the most populous country in Africa, and the fourth most populated country on earth, with an estimated 375 million people, with youths accounting for about 262 million of the population. Nigeria has one of the largest youth populations globally, which is an opportunity for harnessing the country's potentials for sustainable development and growth. In recent times, there has been increased clamor for youth's inclusion in governance in Nigeria to bridge the country's governance gap. In the run-up to the 2023 general election, President Bola Tinubu, during his electioneering campaign, assured of tangible youth representation in his cabinet owing to the pivotal roles played by them during the election period. Keeping faith with his promise, a number of youths have been appointed to hold key positions in the highest level of governance in the country. Among these appointees is a 32-year-old tech entrepreneur, Mr. Khalil Halilu, as the Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. The inclusion of Ms. Oriri Agbaje, a 400-level student of the University of Ibadan, in the Presidential Tax Reform Committee. The choice of Ajuri Ngelale, age 37, as presidential spokesperson and special advisor to the president on media is another highlight of the president's commitment to youth inclusion. Other youthful appointees are 41-year-old Minister of Interior, Olubumi Tunji-Ojo, the recent being the nomination of 37-year-old Jamila Ibrahim as Minister of Youths, alongside Ondo State Youth Leader Ayodele Olawande as Minister of State for Youth. Residents who described the move as a welcome development say youth inclusion was requisite for robust governance and accountability, and called on the nominee to discharge his duties effectively and efficiently, especially in the areas that most concern the youths.
The promise of the Mr. President that he is going to run an inclusive government that have young people, that have the elderly ones, and also persons living with disability is on the right track, because he promised during the electioneering process, and this is one thing that is already fulfilling for the young people. There should be an inclusion. Young people should have a table. They should have a voice during the decision-making processes.
Younger people have been saddling with strategic responsibility, strategic positions on how to move this country forward. And the resultant effect, it is simple, that this desired change, the dream of our forefathers, will no time come to bear with what we have been saying.
This is the first time in the history that we'll be having youths of early 30s that are making ministerial appointments. Is a very good development, and that development alone is encouraging the youth to participate well in politics.
All the position that we put in the youth is very okay. As time goes on, things will getting better.
It will give us youth voice. People will be able to hear us. We'll be able to, unlike when the old people are in government, but now when that the youth are in government, they will be able to think from our own perspective. They will be able to hear us more and understand us better.
This is highly commendable. I'm encouraged. As a legal practitioner, I would say that it's a positive development, it's a good development in the right direction. So I want to commend Mr. President for this, but it's another thing for the youth also to live up to expectation. If there is any area where I want young people to work on, I want them to work on how we can have massive employment for the youth. How can this be created? This can best be created by having policies, creating enabling environments that will enhance further youth participation.
During a phone interview, the newly nominated Minister of State for Youth assured of his readiness to represent the youths of the country in all capacity.
But there's a lot of things you can do about youth. And the first thing is to go back to the roots of the engagement and make sure that you work with everybody. If it's to beg, we beg. If it's to cry, we cry. Because this is our time. The government of Mr. President, our father, must be seeable to the young people, must be touchable to the young people, and must be felt by the young people.
Many say the inclusion of youths in governance will help kickstart the implementation of youth-centered agitations and ultimately reposition the country for greater development. Joy Pius, Osrc News.
The proposed Abuja-Lagos highway will be completed in 4 years. Minister of Works David Umahi, who gave the assurance at a briefing, said traveling from Lagos to Abuja will take 4 hours on the new highway. Umahi said the road will be built entirely with concrete, which is cheaper than asphalt. In the meantime, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, on Saturday confirmed that there was no casualty on the 3-story building that collapsed at Ipo Street, Surulere, Lagos. Territorial Coordinator NEMA, Mr. Ibrahim Farinloye, who confirmed the incident in Lagos, said the building came down at about 10 p.m. on Friday. Meanwhile, an occupant of the building, Mr. Anyanwu, confirmed that all other occupants were able to run out of the building before it came down completely. Anyanwu said the immediate evacuation of the occupants was smooth. According to him, evacuation of the rubble from the building was yet to commence, but all the relevant government agencies in charge of emergency had shown their presence at the site. You're watching the news at 7, coming to you live from Osrc television. We're going to break now. When we return, we'll serve you more stories. Stay with us. On the news tonight. You're welcome back. Thank you for rejoining us. You can also watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on our Facebook page at OSRC. Now to the rest of the news. Nigerians say the resurgence of cultism has assumed a threatening dimension and must be urgently nipped in the bud for the nation's future. Those who spoke to Osrc in Akure, the Ondo State capital, highlighted some imminent dangers of the menace, to include threat to security, unfulfilled dreams, and called on relevant stakeholders to rise to their responsibility by ensuring the nation is habitable for all. Omorela Ubenji has details. Okay, we hope to bring you that story later. Moving now to the courts. The Benue State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal sitting in Makurdi has upheld the election of Governor Hyacinth Alia of the All Progressives Congress APC. The tribunal dismissed the petition of the People's Democratic Party PDP and its governorship candidate Titus Uba, challenging the election for lack of jurisdiction to entertain the matter. Chairman of the 3-man panel of justices, Justice Ibrahim Karaye, held that the tribunal has no jurisdiction to entertain the petition, as the matter raised before the tribunal are pre-election issues as captured in Section Electoral Act. The tribunal hinges decision on the fact that the petitioner ought to have pursued its case of non-qualification and the nomination of Governor Alia by the APC and the allegation of forged certificates and false information on Form EC9 against his deputy Sam Ode before the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC. According to the result declared by INEC after the election in March, Alia, a Catholic priest, won 473,933 votes ahead of his closest rival, Uba, who scored 223,913 votes. Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress APC has rejected the judgment of the Election Tribunal, which affirmed Caleb Mufwang as the duly elected governor of Plateau State. In a statement after the judgment, the State Publicity Secretary of the APC, Sylvanus Lamang, said he and his party had approached the tribunal to disqualify Mufwang and declare him the winner of the election, while claiming to have polled the highest valid votes cast. The three-member panel of the tribunal, led by Justice Sunday Olorundaunsi, dismissed the petition filed by the APC and its governorship candidate, Natanwe Yowata. In another development, Governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mofwang, has questioned the role of politicians in the recurring crisis. Mofwang said there had been links that suggest some politicians would have questions to answer because they have been to tackle the problem of insecurity head-on.
That courtesan. The next story is funny. Read the courtesan. You don't end.
We'll now return to that story where Nigerians say the resurgence of courtesan has assumed a threatening dimension and must be urgently nipped in the bud for the nation's future. Those who spoke to Osrc in Accra, the Ondo State capital, highlighted some imminent dangers of the menace to include threat to security, unfulfilled dreams, and called on relevant stakeholders to rise to their responsibility by ensuring the nation is habitable for all. Omorele Ubunji has details.
Out of the 102 criminal cases reported in Ondo State between the month of August and September 2023, courtesan has the highest number with 32 cases. 114 arrests were made, with courtesan topping the list with 41 suspects. Daily reports of courtesan leaving trails of bloodshed and grief fill the Nigeria media space. The origin of secret cults in Nigeria is traceable to the Cedar Confraternity, aka the Pirates. Then, it was a peaceful and no-violence group founded by Professor Wole Soyinka and 6 others among other groups created as a response to the social, political, and economic realities in Nigeria by the then students. But majority of these cult groups later metamorphosed into secret cults whose activities behave being characterized by some bizarre and violent. They adopt different strategies and use secrecy to initiate new members, including planning and initiative attacks. This, no doubt, has created an atmosphere of negative peace in the entire nation, thereby causing undue panic.
We don't encourage talk, we don't encourage courtesan, we don't encourage violence. So that is why it's being curtailed. And I believe that if it's a collective responsibility, irrespective of your party affiliation, your religion affiliation, your tribe, your community, your village, or whatever. So all of us, all hand must be on deck to make sure that we challenge these ugly menace and put a lasting solution to it.
Cult groups have become synonymous with anarchy, which remains the order of the day in some cities, and the resurgence, according to respondents, is due to certain factors, among which are poor parental care, misplaced priority, peer pressure group, drug abuse, among others.
Some big men prefer engaging all these so-called people. Well, they are warriors. They can kill, they can destroy. They don't care. And they don't want to know whatever is going to be the implication in the future. They don't want to know. But all what they are after is to behave like a thug, to behave like somebody who is living among animals. So, as long if this persists, definitely they want to turn the youth to drug, because there's no way you can be a cultist. The kind of job they will introduce you to is illegal. So there's no way you can, okay, somebody be a cultist, will you be a banker?
President of women-led NGO Ondo State, Folake Eson, said parenting is beyond having children, but close monitoring and prayers will go a long way in stemming the tide of cultism and other violent activities in the society.
These children, their destiny must not be tortured. Their destiny is very important, very, very important. We need to build their destiny. We need to look after them. We need to monitor them. We need to see, because they are the greater tomorrow. They are the one that will take after us.
The impact of religious groups in addressing the situation should not be underestimated, given their reach. General Superintendent, the House of Apostles International, Prophet Zacchaeus Adiboriota, and Chief Imam Okeogba Muslim Community, Yusuf Olalire, who frowned at the acts and the repercussions, encouraged other leaders to rise to the challenge.
They should occupy with lecturing from the Word of God. They should embrace the youth in the church and have time for them. Have time for them. It is then the church will be meaningful. Church stand for saving soul, and they put people right so they have godly life, godly character.
Without missing words, we should be very, very frank about it, and we should not even manage. We should not stage manage saying it. We should be able to nail it on the head. That whoever is engaging in so thing, which the Quran negates, which the Bible equally negates, whoever is engaging, we will definitely, such a person is gone.
Police Public Relations Officer in Ondo State, Fumilayo Odunlami Omisoya, warned that security operatives will not relent in fishing out criminals in society.
We want to do a kind of school-to-school evangelism. We want to move around schools, talk to students, the nutrition cultism, the disadvantage, because I'm not sure there's any advantage to it. Yes, the consequences are grave. Immediately a cultist is arrested, he will be charged to court, because the court is, I think is the correctional center that is the final arbiter in the criminal justice system. But of course, we will do our part, and such an individual will be charged to court.
Parents, government, schools, religious groups, societal groups, as well as non-government organizations are expected to play their part in building a friendly and healthy society. Omori Olahungbiji, Osrc News.
President Bola Tinubu has emphasized the importance of creating a sustainable environment for investment opportunities in agriculture to achieve food security in the continent. Tinubu said this at the high-level meeting on attracting investment, land restoration, food systems and rural transformation in Africa, organized by the African Union guidelines of the 78th session of the UN General Assembly in New York. President Tinubu, who was represented by Chairman of the Senate Committee on Nigerian Army, Senator Abdulaziz Yaadua, stressed the need for smallholder farmers in Nigeria and the continent at large to access financing to boost farming. The President of Governance and Insecurity on Agriculture on the continent. The Nigerian leader, however, expressed optimism that the gathering will create opportunities and farmers get access to finance. The U.S. Department of State has advised on civil unrest, kidnapping and armed gangs in some parts of the country. Following its travel advisory update, the U.S. noted that some areas have increased risk. It therefore advises citizens against traveling to Borno, Yobe, often targeting dual national citizens who have returned to Nigeria for a visit, as well as a U.S. citizen with perceived wealth. The U.S. government said it has limited ability to provide emergency services to U.S. citizens